Hello, welcome or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz, and I will be guiding you on this journey today. This is a reading for Cancer, wherever Cancer shows up in your chart, whatever placements you have in Cancer that you care about. It's interesting because right before this reading, I have you and two other ones that I want to get done today. But all of a sudden, there was two things that happened. I have some plants that I need to get into the ground. Not that it's like an emergency. I just need to do it. And I need to do some weeding and stuff. So anyway, I was like, maybe I should go do that before I do Cancer's reading. And then I was like, no. So I don't know, I'm just kind of curious. I just thought it was kind of funny because I only really had that thought once I decided that I was going to do your reading. And then I was like, well, maybe I should go do those things first. And then I was like, no, let me just sit down and do this reading. So I wonder if you guys are kind of getting into gardening or thinking about doing that. The other thing the other sensation that I kept having was that I had glasses on my head. I just had the feeling like I did, and I went to grab them because I'm like, why do I have, I thought maybe I had worn my sunglasses inside because I went to the grocery store this morning. So I was like, oh, do I still have my sunglasses on my head or something? So it was really weird. So, if you're looking for your glasses, they're on your head. I don't know. Just interesting. So let's just get one card. It says nature. Yeah, remember when I was like, oh, gardening. There's a ton of flowers on this card too. So maybe you had been thinking about planting flowers, or even, getting that bee or butterfly flower mix, where it's a big bag of just flower seeds, but it's, more for bees or butterflies. We have the Six of Pentacles. How many cards is this? We have the Fool. We have the Nine of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles under the Six of Pentacles, the Eight of Swords under the Fool card. We just need one more, and the Four of Swords. And then the Two of Swords at the bottom of the deck, Ace of Cups, Two of Wands, Page of Cups. Okay. It's interesting that we have two Pentacles cards out on the table, and then the rest are air. We have Three Swords cards. The Fool, I believe, is Uranus. And I believe in modern astrology, Uranus is associated to, that's not, Aquarius, who is also, an air sign. So let's read about this card first. It says, take some time to enjoy nature, even if you only have time for a short stroll around the block. The fresh air and movement will do you good. Open yourself to the little bits of magic that the world has to offer along the way. Notice the tall trees swaying in the breeze, dandelions growing through cracks in the sidewalk, ants dutifully carrying crumbs from here to there. There is a whole world beyond our own. Nature has a way of offering a much-needed change in atmosphere to reset a busy day. The sun does not shine for a few trees and flowers, but for the wide world's joy. I love that. It's also, very springy. We're going into summer also, right? Which is the beginning of Cancer season. So there could be something to that. It's interesting because there's tulips on this card. And by that point, I feel like, tulips have already blossomed. Like they've already done their thing. And now they're like, we'll see you next year. So anyway, yeah, it does kind of have this like stop and smell the roses thing, but and I'm probably just more so like, in the Gemini reading, this eye was going crazy, and in your reading, it's my other eye. So that's weird. But yeah, I'm just like plants and some, but I have all these plants behind me. And like, it's almost too like nurturing something. Same with gardening, right? For one, it can be almost meditative, just getting your hands in the dirt, getting getting your body moving. Also, even, focusing your time and attention on something in order to see it grow. Like, so yeah, interesting. But we start with the Six of Pentacles. Pentacles have to do with our money, how we get it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our time. What are we spending our time doing? How are we investing our time? It's our physical body. Where are we physically showing up in our lives? How is our health? It's anything that we place value and worth on. So even your energy, your possessions, the resources available to you. And the Six of Pentacles is this reciprocal energy. It's like there's this equal energy exchange that happens between the Six of Pentacles. I'm actually kind of curious what the book says. I don't think I've actually read the book on the Six of Stones yet. It says, the sea, realizing that it cannot hold back what was never its to keep, expels all the stones at rock bottom. In this moment of freedom, the stones begin to form a land, giving the sea the structure it never had, giving back, accepting charity, new hope, alignment. So yeah, there's usually no strings attached with the Six of Pentacles. So it could even be realizing where you are attached by a string to something and cutting that string. It mentions charity. So you could be receiving some sort of charity. Like I just said, there's no strings attached when it comes to the Six of Pentacles. So it's not like a loan, because you have to pay back a loan. There's strings attached to a loan, right? So it could even be a grant. You could be getting some sort of financial assistance that you qualify for. It could be something like that. It could be meeting somebody who has the resources and is willing to share either their knowledge or even share their resources with you. But they would also be receiving something back from you, because like I said, there's this equal energy exchange happening. So this is, you could also be the person that's sharing your resources with other people, because you realize that like you have either an abundance of, or you have the enough to share. Like, for example, gardening, right? Like you're growing, I don't know, potatoes. I want to try growing potatoes this year, I think. But so, you grow potatoes, and then, you have so many effing potatoes that you're like, I can't possibly eat all these potatoes. So maybe, there's a family or a friend or something, and you give them the potatoes, and in return, maybe they have something that you would want, or maybe they give you, I don't know, $5, whatever it is, like for a few pounds of potatoes. That's just one example. But again, there's just there's an equal exchange. Okay. How many times did I say that? And then underneath it, we have the Eight of Pentacles. So it's interesting because in this card, right, it was saying that the sea recognized that it had an abundance of stones at the bottom because in the Five of Pentacles, it talks about being at like rock bottom. So it starts pushing all these stones up to the surface, and it creates these islands. So again, it's like there's something in this Six of Pentacles that maybe it's going to create some level of security for you, because I just kind of heard like the word foundation under with the Eight of Pentacles, like, you know, just having a stable foundation under you, whether that's a house or just like financial security. It says, over time, the stones grow into larger bodies of land. This land begins to develop life of its own. Waterfalls cascade down lush forests and feed the sea. The sea reaches a new sense of fulfillment. Learning environment, developing skills, attaining goals, sense of fulfillment. And, you know, I mean, again, this could be somebody who teaches you a new skill. They have the time available. They have the resources available, right? It's something that you're interested in. If there's a monetary exchange, then it would be something that you also have enough money for. Maybe it's a reasonable, whatever it is, course or trade even. But yeah, you know, it's really interesting. We start with these two earth cards. These two cards, you know, these two pentacles cards, right? So it has to do with something about your physical world, your anything, you know, tangible, anything monetary, like, right? It's something to do in the 3D where, you know, we exist. I also love that there's literally two progressions that's happening. We go from the Six of Pentacles to the Eight of Pentacles. And then we also go from the Eight of Swords to the Nine of Swords. So for me, like when that happens in the same reading, it's like you are moving through the energy, or you will be. Or even just, you know, like the space is available. The, you know, however analogy you want to use, like the energy is available to move through this. Also, even if it is slow, because, you know, we go from just a couple stones breaking the surface to like these islands here. And it could also even be like, this is either a process that you've been working on for some time. It could also be saying that it could happen very fast. It's almost like as soon as the ball is rolling, boom, it just happens type of thing, like just like that, which is not usually Earth. Like, you know, Earth is usually like slow moving, you know, you have to be committed to it. You have to be determined. But this, you know, it feels like it could be faster than that. And really just because, you know, we kind of skip a step. We skip the 7 and we go right to the 8, which is, you know, the islands are already formed here. It could also be because, you know, there is still like a lot of water in here. It could also be with all these islands. And we don't even have any water out on the table anyway, but it could just be like compartmentalizing emotions, like, you know, not being reactive, being aware of your emotions, allowing yourself to remain present and grounded. If you do feel like a spike in your emotions, especially with Cancer, right? Because I kind of feel like sometimes that can make you be very impulsive. And I'm saying that as like a Cancer rising. So just, you know, something to be aware of. And then we move on to the Fool card, which, like I said, is modernly Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus right now, which is an Earth sign. And I think it's going to be there like until next year, I believe. Or is it 2026? I don't know. It's pretty slow moving. It's been there already for a while. So wherever Taurus is for you. But the Fool card it's a 0. So it's like it's that moment before the leap. Because, I mean, they haven't taken the leap yet, but there is this commitment to it. There's a risk that is involved with this. There's, trusting the process. Because, I mean, when you jump, you have to trust that you'll be caught, right? And you have been every single time. It's just when this mental shit starts getting in our way, which is what's coming up, that's what creates that hesitation. So, it does feel like there's this decision being made here. And it is like it's kind of taking you on a new path. Whatever that is, It doesn't have to be like a complete, 180 or something like that. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. It's just whatever path you have been on, you're making a decision, and that's going to change your path a little bit. But also, it's a decision that you want to make. It doesn't seem like it's being forced. It's like even the sea recognizing that it has an abundance of stones at the bottom and pushing them up. And even, oh my gosh, like the word is just fucking benefit. Like the benefit of the stones creating these islands. Because it just creates more life, right? And these waterfalls, like it was saying, it feeds the sea. So again, even going back to the Six of Pentacles, I feel like I'm going to be doing this a lot in this reading. But whatever this is, though, right? It's like it's somehow going to like keep cycling. Like it's going to benefit you, but then it's also going to like benefit others in some capacity. Maybe that does have to do with work, whatever you do. Maybe there's some sort of pivot or like change happening in that in some capacity. It does feel like it's going to be more secure though. But under the Fool card, we have the Eight of Swords. And this is that self-inflicted mind prison. This is all that, like what if? I can't. It's not possible. It's blah, 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 blah. This is actually a card of Gemini. Nine of Swords is also Gemini. And the Nine of Swords came out in the same exact position in Gemini. I don't know. Maybe there's something in that reading for you if you have any Gemini placements. But yeah. This is, it's like feeling trapped. There's these 8 swords that are around them. And it feels like you're trapped. It feels like there's no way out. But that's just your mind. That's fear. That's ego talking, because swords for me is also the suit of ego. It deals with our mind, our thoughts, ideas, beliefs, truth, honesty, but like divine truth, divine, objective honesty. And like I said, I do see it as being the suit of ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, to feelings. And whether those stories are true or not, and whether they're ours or not. Is it our story, or did somebody imprint it onto us? And we accepted their story as part of our identity because it made us feel bad, and we didn't know any better. So, it becomes a reason why we do and don't do things. It's the filter. We receive information from our environment. It goes through the filter of our ego. Everybody's ego is different, right? And it kicks out some story. And that's what this story is. I can't do it. It's not possible. There's no way. I'm stuck here. But really, they're one decision away from changing their life. There's that Sugarland song. I think it's called Settlin'. And one of the lines in it is she changed her mind and changed her world, or changed her life. One of the two. But sometimes it really does just come down to that. I don't mind the Eight of Swords. anytime the Eight of Swords comes up for me, I'm always like, okay, I feel like there's something to be discovered in this mindset, right? Because it's like, where did these stories come from? Why don't I believe that it's possible? Why don't I think that I could do it? Right? Like, and it's when you follow the crumbs or whatever and you get to the root of what that story is and where it came from, you get to decide if it's true or not, which is interesting because then we move on to the Nine of Swords. So like I said, there's this progression here from the Eight of Swords to the Nine of Swords. So you do move through this, and now you're kind of on to this, which is not that much better, but at least the swords are laying on the ground. I mean, so are you. Or so is, this moon, which is interesting because, Cancer is ruled by the moon, right? So at least the swords are no longer feeling necessarily like a prison or like you're trapped, but they are still around you. And it's almost like, you kind of spread them out. And even I was saying, compartmentalize emotions over here, but not in the sense of like not dealing with them, but just be aware of where that stuff is coming from so that it doesn't throw you off. It doesn't prevent you from taking an opportunity if somebody were to give it to you. Not allowing your pride or like your ego to get in the way. Even, like if it's available, if you have, like the space, the time, and even if it doesn't seem like it is, try to, do it anyway, but sleep on it. Like, don't, like, allow yourself to go through all of the mental process, the emotional process, whatever it is, and just sleep on it, Nines are also individual completion though. So there's something that, maybe you recognize that there's something holding you back. There's something, mentally keeping you trapped. It's almost like you kind of spread it out in front of you and you're like, okay, what's the story? Like where is this coming from? You can follow it back to its root. And you can be like, is that story true? Do I actually, as an adult now, wherever that story happened for you, whether you were a kid, a teenager, whatever, is that story true? Is that something that I believe about myself? Can I forgive the person, whether that was myself or somebody else, that imprinted that story onto me? And, you kind of like blast it with a ton of compassion and love, like energetically, like you just fill it with a ton of love because at the time you were doing the best that you could with the limited amount of information that you had, right? Because we didn't have a lot of life experience when we were 5, when we were 3, when we were 10, 12, 15, right? Like compared to, like being in your 30s or your 40s. I mean, even kind of your 20s, but I still feel like that's a lot of trial and error, a lot of, figuring stuff out, right? So anyway, you were doing the best. We were all, right? Like doing the best that we could with the limited information that we had. And that story was created to keep us safe. But at some point, it started to restrict us. And we have the Four of Swords at the end of the reading. This is healing, rest, meditation. It's, like the sun is melting the winter basically away. It's like, putting light onto the dark aspects of ourself kind of thing. And especially too, like if you're having a hard time receiving help or charity, like, and especially if there are no strings attached, and if that makes you feel uncomfortable because you have a hard time receiving, that's something to work on. It could be very stable for you. There's an opportunity to approach it differently. The Four of Swords says, pause, rest, time advancing, silence. Days go by, and the sun stays high in the sky. In this moment of respite, the sun blazes brighter than ever in a swirling mess of emotions. Afraid to come down and face the truth, the sun swallows the world in heat when the sun should have been resting instead. Yeah, it's because it's kind of like denial. Or, we all go through denial, right? But it's like there's a point now where you can't really avoid that anymore, because it probably feels like you do want to advance, right? You do want this new beginning, this leap of faith, whatever that is. You have to get through the mental part of it, whatever story that you've attached to whatever the thing is. You have to work through it, especially if it is limiting you, especially if it's something that you don't feel good. Like there's something that is just, it doesn't feel good to not accept this, if that made sense. Like this is something that you want and that you hoped for, and it will again bring you stability and just create even opportunity. And the energy is available for you to take the leap, but it's then your mind that just starts blah, 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 blah. Journal a lot, journal about, why am I feeling this way? Where is that story coming from? Is that story true? That could even be your journal prompts. What is the story that I'm telling myself? This isn't possible. Okay. Why do I feel that way? Because I can't simply imagine how it would be, and I don't have whatever, so you write about that. And then the next, is that story true? Well, no, I don't really have any evidence to support it, but it's kind of like I would just rather not and not be disappointed. I just would rather not try and be sad. Or, put my emotional, eggs in a basket and it not produce anything. But then it's like, but if I did, so what could be the fourth prompt? What is possible? Or if there were no limits, what would be possible? Or no, none of those really. Because it's almost like it's got to come out to be let go of, so that the space can be available for the new stuff to come in, And I don't necessarily think that we are even responsible for figuring out what is possible. We just have to be open to it. Maybe that could even am I open to any possibility and miracle? Yes or no? Put yes. Come on. Easy. And then we have the Two of Swords at the bottom of the deck. This talks about in the deck, or in this guidebook, this talks about ego, and the sun is showing off for the moon, ooh, look at my swords. So I feel, it's a lot of keeping your ego in check, keeping your pride in check, not making decisions, because usually the Two of Swords talks about indecision. So it's not making a decision from a place of ego, not making a decision based on, you think it looks good, or keeping up with the Joneses almost. Don't make a decision that way. We have the Ace of Cups. Finally a Cups card. And I love that it's the Ace of Cups, because this specific one is about creation. These two elephants meet in this body of water, and they're going to create a baby elephant. So of course, it could be on the romantic side of things. I don't really feel that way, but it's just again, it's creation. Creating something out of love versus creating something out of ego. Also, even when you create something out of love, you do meet more of the right people, because your intentions are more authentic, versus you're just going to meet phonies and fakes and other people who are also trying to keep up with the Joneses, but it's like, don't go for like the shiniest thing just because it's the shiniest thing, right? It's like, go for the thing that is going to fill your cup, even if it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing or something like that. I hope you know what I mean. We have the Two of Wands, which is planning for the future. So we have two twos between an ace. Even look at the two moons there, which is actually kind of interesting. Cancer, right? Planning for the future. What is possible, right? Like being open to the possibilities, trying new things, setting out on a new path. I love it. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.